Israel. Shabbat Shalom and welcome everybody to our Shabbat morning service. This is the very last Shabbat of 5780.
Wow. Yeah.
Last Shabbat of Elul as well. We're coming to you from our beautiful sanctuary, and we moved from the center to the side here so you can see the trees behind us. Some of the leaves are beginning to change here in Kansas City. And
so pretty.
Fall is on its way.
Yes.
My
Yay.
favorite time of the year.
Yeah, mine too.
As always, you can find a link to the prayer book pages PDF for this service in the comments below. Or to the side, depends how you're looking at it. Important information will also appear right there during the service. And for that, we thank our team of digital docents who are managing our streaming this morning. Please say hi if you're watching, if you haven't done so already. Some of you, I'm sure, as soon as you come in, say Shabbat Shalom, but we'd like to invite you to say that again. And maybe you can tell us where you are, if you are in Overland Park, or in Kansas City, Missouri, or in Tampa, Florida.
Hi, Papi.
And please don't forget to click return. Just a reminder about the page numbers. If you have 2 pages on your prayer book, we're using the numbers in the square brackets. So go ahead now and find Shabbat morning service, Roman numeral number 2 in your Mishkan Tefillah, or simply the first page of the prayer packet. If you're following the service on the PDF file, we will be using every single page. If you need some immediate help, please text or call CBT's technical assistant line, TAL, at 913-303-1134. If you have feedback about our service this morning, we invite you to take notes and write us an email during the week to let us know how we can make this better. And we thank you for that. And Shabbat Shalom again, everybody. Welcome. Our service will continue now as together we join in thanking God for having brought us back to life and restored our souls to this beautiful morning. We continue together on page 291. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe. With divine wisdom you have made our bodies, combining veins, arteries, and vital organs into a finely balanced network. Wonders maker and sustainer of life, were one of them to fail, how well we are aware we would lack the strength to sustain life before you. Blessed are you, Adonai, source of our health and strength. Baruch atah Adonai, rofeh chol basar umafli la'asot. Elohai, Elohai, neshama, shenatata li Elohai, Elohai, neshama. אתה נפחת בי, ואתה משמרו בקרבי. אלוהי On page 293, together we offer blessings for our daily miracles, Nisim Bechol Yom.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lesech vivina lehachvin ben yom uven laila.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, pokeach ivrim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, matir asurim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, zokef kefufim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, rokah haaretz al hamayim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, המכין מצעדי גבר.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, malbish arumim.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, הנותן ליהב כוח.
Amen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, המעביר שינה מעיני ותנומה מעפעפיי.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שעשני בצלם אלוהים.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, שעשני בת חורים.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שעשני ישראל.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, עוזר ישראל בגבורה.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, עוטר ישראל בתפארה.
Amen.
In the middle of page 302, we join together in words of from Psalm 92, Tzaddik Katamar, in the middle of the page.
Tzaddik
katamar yifrach, be'erez halevana, halevana nizker,
שתולים
בבית אדוני,
בחצות אלוהינו יפריחו, עוד ינוחו בסלע, ושנים ברנה יהיו לעתיד, ישר אדוני צורי ולא עברת
The section of our service, Pezukei, the Zimra, songs of praise, will conclude on page 306 as we join together in singing Psalm 150, Hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 bekodasho, hallelujah, bekiyahuzo, hallelujah, bigvurota, As we prepare for the recitation of the Shema, we have two blessings that we pray together. First one is about creation, and the next one is about Torah. So the first one, it's called Hayotzer, and we're singing towards the end of the prayer, the blessing, about 3 lines from the bottom, Or Chadash.
Or Chadash al Tzion Tayim, al Tzion Tayim. Or Chadash al Tzion Tayim, al Tzion Tayim. ונזכה כולנו נראה לאורו, ונזכה כולנו נראה לאורו. אור חדש על ציון תאיר, על ציון תאיר. אור חדש על ציון תאיר, על ציון תאיר. ונזכה כולנו נראה לאורו, ונזכה כולנו נראה לאורו.
Please join us on page 317. O God, inspiration and guide for all, you have spoken in 1,000 tongues for us to hear. In every land and every age, your children have heard you and imagined you in separate ways. And yet, O God, you are one, unifier of humanity. We give thanks for the sages and teachers who bring us understanding of your will. Gratefully we recall the lawgivers and prophets, the psalmists and sages of Israel, and joyfully we remember that from the dawn of Israel's life we would turn to you and find purpose. May the teachings of our ancestors live on in our hearts. Help us, and their passion for righteousness stir our hearts. Help us to live so that our daily conduct reveals the beauty and wisdom of your truth.
Baruch
אתה אדוני הבוחר בעמו ישראל באהבה. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בהם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם,
אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Page 322, we continue together with Micha Mocha, which we've been singing now almost for a month
Yeah.
with the High Holy Day melody.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש,
תורה תהילות עושה פאר.
שירה חדשה שמחו גאולים, לשמך על שפת הים, יחד כולם הודי, והמליכו ואמרו,
אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
We now come to the Amidah, the standing prayer, the Tefillah, which will begin with Tzur Israel on page 322, and they will continue on 323 and all the way to 337. And it has been our practice during our virtual services that we take this moment privately, each one of us at home and here in the sanctuary will take our time to either use the words from the Siddur that we provide or offer a private prayer and meditation at this time. Please join us, Tzur Israel, page 322.
צור ישראל, קומה בעזרת ישראל, ופדחין ומך, יהודה וישראל, גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל, ברוך אתה אדוני, גואל ישראל. אדוני שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise.
נגיד עוד לך, ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, קדוש קדושתך נקדיש לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד עוד לך, ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך נקדיש. שבחך אלוהינו, מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. כי אל מלך גדול, כי אל מלך גדול, וקדוש אתה, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד עוד לך, ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך נקדיש.
Our service continues now with the service for the reading of the Torah. Seder Kriyat HaTorah begins on page 367 with Al Shlosha Dvarim.
על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, העולם עומד. על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, שלושה דברים, העולם עומד. על התורה ועל העבודה ועל גמילות חסדים. על התורה ועל העבודה ועל גמילות חסדים. על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, העולם עומד.
It's interesting if you notice that we are at the end of a Jewish year, yet we're not quite to the end of the cycles of reading the Torah. That would have made a lot of sense, but that's not to be. We actually have 3 more Torah portions to go. On this Shabbat, we have a double Torah portion. And then on the Shabbat between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, we have the very last Torah portion of the book of Deuteronomy, Parashat Ha'azinu. And so now we are in the last 3, third and second to last. And they are combined, and they are called with a very long name, Nitzavim Vayelech. And Nitzavim Vayelech begins on the middle of chapter 29. Now, this Torah portion, the Nitzavim part, is a very well-known section because in the Reform movement, we read this section on the morning of Yom Kippur.
Ah,
So most of you will hear it twice in the next 15 days or so. And so in the context of Yom Kippur, we'll talk on Yom Kippur. But today, I think it's important for us to, and this is what I try to do every Shabbat, try to understand the Torah portion in its context, as it appears in the book of Deuteronomy, and how it plays out within that, and what can we learn from that in particular. So one piece that you need to understand is that this section, at the beginning of the Torah portion, Parashat Nitzavim, the words are Atem Nitzavim, you, all of you stand today, and in Hebrew you must remember that we have words for you, masculine, plural, which is the most inclusive that Hebrew can be. So Atem means you, masculine, plural, and Nitzavim means you are standing. So if I were to say to a man, you, man, are standing, I would say Ata Nitzav.
okay.
So that would be Ata, and then At, and Aten is for females only. The rules of grammar of Hebrew, it says that if there are 1,000 women and 1 man, you have to use Atem, which is, of course,
Of course you do.
it's an ancient language. We can't blame it for that. So, but there are ways in modern Hebrew to actually, be more inclusive. But I think that especially this Torah portion is as inclusive as it gets in the Torah. Because the context in which this Torah portion appears is we're getting towards the end of the life of Moses, towards the end of the Torah, towards the end of the book of Deuteronomy, and towards the end of the trek through the desert, through the wilderness of Sinai. And this is then Moses' third discourse, and he summons the people to ratify, to confirm the covenant that is now made at Moab. And here are a few words that you may find that are relevant, and they come from the literature of the ancient Near East. The words are Brit ve'alah. Now the word Brit, you might have encountered it before many times. It means covenant. But the word Allah makes that covenant special. And what it makes it special is that it's a Brit that has safeguards, and the safeguards are the curses. When then they're coming up later. So, in other words, you do this, and this is a positive side. But if you don't, then there are consequences, and there are all those curses, which we won't read today. But that's the context in which you have a Brit ve'alah. The other piece that is very interesting in this section is that every member of the people was supposed to participate in this ceremony, establishing the covenant with God. But the text does not tell us when the ceremony took place or what exactly happened during this ceremony. And we know from other covenantal texts from the ancient Near East that talk about these ceremonies, but they really don't describe the actual proceedings that took place during the agreement. The parasha, as I mentioned, is often read right before Rosh Hashanah, the Shabbat before Rosh Hashanah, and some commentators suggest that the reason for that is that since we're coming up Rosh Hashanah, and it's a time when many of us turn our thoughts to Judaism and to our connection to our people and to God, that is a time for taking also to heart the commitment that we as a people make to God in this covenant. So it's kind of a reminder, we've made this covenant before now comes the high holidays. Think about what our ancestors went through. And as I said at the beginning, it's a very inclusive kind of text because it does say several times, kulchem, all of you, and not only men, women, and children, but also gercha, the alien residents,
Right.
the people who were, now in modern Hebrew, a ger is a convert, but in the biblical sense, it's really everybody who was part of that. And many of them might have been doing, menial tasks like wood choppers or water drawers, chotef eitzecha and shoef meimecha, the people who did all the service, sort of almost like a slave work, and they were also included
Right.
in this Brit ve'alato. And many commentators have suggested that it's precisely this idea that all of you, in other words, everyone, kulechem lifnei Adonai, value in the whole community, and that there are things that the whole community can do that the individual alone might not be able to do. And one of them is, of course, hold onto the promises given at this moment of the Brit. And the idea is that each one of us, the Israelites as well as today, are flawed and imperfect, and in that sense, we gain strength for doing something together and from bringing community. I was reminded early this morning, I was talking to Leslie of the song Kehila Kedosha, if you may know the song, and it begins with the words Atem Nitzavim. Well, if you're Atem and we're Nitzavim, something like that. But it goes into Kehila Kedosha, a holy community, because it plays on this idea of Kulchem. All of you are included in this Brit, which also implies that we're all responsible for the Brit. Which brings me to an actual, I don't know if it's a problem, but maybe an issue that maybe many of us have not thought about in this particular Torah portion. Towards the end of the section that we're reading this morning, we will read the following. But both with those who are standing here with us today before Adonai your God, and with those who are not with us here this day. Now, I said that this is inclusive, but this is a little too much inclusive. In other words, they are not only committing everybody who's present there, but everybody else who's not there. I don't know who they are. I mean, who is everybody else who's not there? I mean, it's a lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's the whole history of the Jewish people, it's a lot of people. So, of course, the rabbis and many of the commentators had a lot to say about this.
I bet they did.
Because who are those? Asher eineinu po imanu hayom. Those who are not with us here today. So, the Midrash Tanchuma suggests that, quote, the souls of all future Jews present at this moment as they had been at Mount Sinai. And you might have heard the interpretation that says, every Jew, past and present and future, stood at Sinai. And so this is where it comes from. Because this is the reconfirmation, the ratification of the covenant that was made originally at Sinai. And a lot of things happened since in the story of the Jews, which we're not going to go into detail, but most of them were not very good. But also, suggests that perhaps Moses is addressing people who may not be understanding what's going on. They're not there mentally.
Oh.
And so that might be another way of saying, okay, people who are maybe too young or too old to quite understand, but the covenant is with them as well. But what I really like, and this commentary comes, I think, from Etz Chaim, from the commentary that I often use from JPS. And the question is really, what right did our ancestors have to impose obligations of the covenant on other people than themselves.
Yes.
Especially on us. Why do we have to feel bound by their actions? Now, obviously we feel bound, right? Because we are Jewish and that's part of it. But the question is still, they could have said, we make this covenant, and we could have said, that's such a wonderful set of laws and ethical teachings and history. We want to be part of it. But they did that for us, apparently, because we weren't there, so they actually did it for us. And so one interpretation given by Etzchaim, which I think kind of relates to it, is as follows. Many aspects of our lives were determined by decisions that our parents and ancestors, including when and where we were born, those were made for us. What skills and physical qualities we would possess, and where and how we will be educated. And so a lot of those decisions have made for us before we got here.
Right.
And like the Jews in the desert, it takes maturity to accept that
Yes.
that there were things that were decided for us. Maturity then consists in accepting those conditions as the facts of life, rather than trying to fantasize about how our lives would have been easier had we been born otherwise, of how our parents not made the decisions that they made, or ancestors have not traveled across the ocean to Argentina or to the U.S. or wherever they went, and would it, could it, have it, how
Woulda, coulda, shoulda.
have. Thank you. And I think that that's where the Israelites find themselves. Now they made a decision, and now they're much older, and the decisions that they made have consequences, and they will have consequences for the generations to come. And being a mature adult, among other things, involves accepting that our history is ours and own it up to it and do the best we can to pass it forward and move it forward during our lives. So here is a beautiful beginning of Parashat Nitzavim. If you are joining us on our prayer book, we will recite together the alternative blessings before the reading of the Torah. They're found on page 369. Holy One of blessing, your presence fills creation. You have enlightened this path with the wisdom of Torah, giving it to the Jewish people in their particular way. Blessed are you, merciful one, who gives this Torah to the Jewish people. אמן. אתם ניצבים היום כולכם לפני אדוני אלוהיכם, ראשיכי שבטיכם, זקניכם ושוטריכם, כל איש ישראל. טפכם, נשיכם וגרך, אשר בקרב מחנך, מחוטב עציך עד שואף מימיך, לעוברך בברית, אדוני אלוהיך ובעלתו, אשר אדוני אלוהיך כורת עמך היום, למען הקים אותך. היום לא לעם, והוא יהיה לך לאלוהים, כאשר דיבר לך, וכאשר נשבע לאבותיך, לאברהם, ליצחק וליעקב. ולא איתכם לבדכם אנוכי, כורת את הברית הזאת, ואת העלה הזאת, כי את אשר ישנו פה עמנו עומד היום לפני אדוני אלוהינו, ואת אשר עינינו פה עמנו היום. We join together in the blessings after the reading of the Torah. Holy One of blessing, your presence fills creation. This Torah is the teaching of truth, whole and balanced, and from it comes eternal life. For the people who embrace it, blessed are you, merciful One, who gives this Torah to the Jewish people. On page 371, we now turn our thoughts to those in need of healing. You may access the Misheberach list through the e-news that you received yesterday. You can also follow the link found in the comments. If you'd like to offer names, please type them in the comments so we can all see them. Please go ahead and type.
The source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen.
And as we offer a prayer for those in need of healing, we also think of those who help in healing. First responders and health workers all over the world during this pandemic. May the one who blessed and led our forebears give countenance unto those who provide help for the ill and troubled among us. May they be filled with fortitude and courage, endowed with sympathy and compassion, as they give strength to those at their side. May they fight against despair and continue to find within themselves the will to reach out to those in need. And in the love of others, may they feel the blessings of community and the blessings of renewed faith.
Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Our service continues as we conclude our reading of the Torah together on page 374, singing Etz Chaim.
Etz Chaim lama chazitim ba letomcheha
As we prepare for our moment of remembrance, I invite you to turn to page 593. The light of life is a finite flame, like the Shabbat candles. Life is kindled, it burns, it glows. It is radiant with warmth and beauty. But soon it fades, its substance is consumed, and it is no more. In light we see, in light we are seen. The flames dance and our lives are full. But as night follows day, the candle of our life burns down and gutters. There is an end to the flames. We see no more and are no more seen. Yet we do not despair, for we are more than a memory, slowly fading into the darkness. With our lives we give life. Something of us can never die. We move in the eternal cycle of darkness and death, of light and life. This moment we think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us. We are observing the Shloshim period for Jean Horwitz, husband of Sue Horwitz. And on this Shabbat, we remember the following yortzites of members of our congregation: Louise Beaupede, Albert Byler, Elizabeth Blum, Mark Brown, Robert Chase, Ann Zerlinski, Frida Davidson, Harry Dubrov, Judy K. Epstein, Bessie Karch, Nancy Kessler, Rosemary Peterson Adams, Murray Rosen, Jimmy Taylor. If you're joining us on this Shabbat and remembering a loved one, we invite you to type their names on the comments. Zichronam livracha, may the memories be for a blessing. On page 598, together we join in Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemeh rabba, be'alema divra chiruteh ve'amlich malchuteh, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, b'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yeheh shemei rabba mevarach le'alam u'le'lemei alemaya, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תוש בחתה ונחמתה דע אמירם באלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. Amen. Before we part, we have some announcements for this morning. First, we would like to thank everyone who has joined us this morning from our area and from around the world. Thanks to Leslie Zucker for the lovely music, and to our team of digital docents who are helping our congregation have a virtual presence. Just a reminder that while we are now open during regular office hours, you must have an appointment to be let into the building. Our entire staff can still be reached by calling our office during our regular business hours. Our next Shabbat service will be Friday, September the 18th at 6:30 p.m. That's our regular time for Shabbat, which is also Erev Rosh Hashanah. We will see some of you in person, and the rest of you will be able to see us on live on Facebook Live or through our virtual sanctuary, and that service will be held outdoors. Please join us this evening at 8:45 for our community Slichot service that kicks off the high holiday season. This service this evening will not be streamed on Facebook Live, but through our website. The streaming will have a password, and the link to watch and the password for the stream were in the e-news you received Friday morning.
And just a little bit of housekeeping about that. The player on the virtual sanctuary will not ask for your password until it's time for the stream to start. So if you were to go in, say, at 8:30 and click on it, nothing's going to happen because it starts at 8:45. So think of it actual like when a TV show starts. A TV show doesn't start 15; it starts at the time. So that's when you can put in your password.
I think we're not used to that anymore now that we have on-demand
Right,
everything.
we forgot.
But those of you who grew up with actually like a TV guide where you actually have to look up times
Yes.
and actually pay attention, we're back to that.
Yeah, this is like that. And if you missed it, too bad. Our next song session is September 16th, Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. And then we have one more Thursday conversation. And this is going to be Thursday at 7 o'clock on Zoom. And that information was in your e-news. And Dave and I will be moderating a conversation about our tech presence and what we're offering and why we've made the choices we made. So if you have questions, you can bring them there. And we will introduce, you'll get to see the faces of our digital docents as well. So we're very excited about that.
Thank you, Leslie. Finally, make sure that you check us out on Facebook, like our page, so you'll be able to follow us and leave us comments about the service and other virtual events. Have a Shabbat Shalom and stay healthy out there. We conclude together singing Enkeloheinu. It's on page 626.
Enkeloheinu, Enkadonenu, Enkemalkeinu, Enkemoshienu, Enkeloheinu, Enkadonenu, Enkemalkeinu, Enkemoshienu. Micheloheinu, Michadonenu, Michemalkeinu, Moshienu. Enkeloheinu, Enkadonenu, Enkemalkeinu, Enkemoshienu. Enkeloheinu, Enkadonenu, Enkemalkeinu, Enkemoshienu. Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu. Enkeloheinu, Enkadonenu, Enkemalkeinu, Enkemoshienu. Enkeloheinu, Enkadonenu, Enkemalkeinu, Enkemoshienu.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom. Take care of each other out there. Mwah.